Hi, I'm Nelson from PropertyQuants. Thanks so much for inviting me to speak today. By way of background, I did a PhD in decision sciences, I'm a CFA charter holder, and did my undergraduate in economics and mathematics statistics. I started my career in hedge funds and was in sovereign wealth funds and high-frequency trading and always building quantitative investment models. Now, I was also investing in real estate in several different cities and spotted the opportunity to bring these data science methods into real estate and started PropertyQuants about 2.5 years ago to do this. I want to talk today about PropTech. So these are any kinds of technological or digital innovations for the real estate industry. Now, some of these innovations will also be in the Fintech space, and that's where we'll focus today. PropTech is a very big growth area. We can see funding for PropTech companies has increased more than 150 times from 2011 to 2019. If we think about why, well, real estate is actually a very large asset class. We can compare the size of all real estate, or even just residential real estate, and see that that's a lot larger than all of the listed equities, all of the securitized debt. There's a lot of buzz about, say, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but the size of real estate outstanding is just much, much larger than that. If we think about the state of the real estate industry, there's still a lot of room for growth. The chart on the left shows that 80% of companies cannot say that most or all of their decision-making is led by data. And 75% of companies don't have a comprehensive data strategy. And if we think about system integration that will permit some of these innovations that we want to see, companies rate themselves as 5 out of 10. We think there's a lot of opportunity for applying data science and sort of fintech methods into real estate. If we look at just one particular aspect, that is, can we do quantitative investment management? Well, there's a lot of room here. So I was in quantitative hedge funds back in the mid and early 2000s. At that point, it was still a relatively new concept. And if we fast forward till today, 1/3 of all assets in hedge funds are quantitatively run. And we think about the stock market, 60 to 80% of all trades are done by computers. Now let's look at real estate. We think the AUM is definitely larger than even in hedge funds, and there's hardly anything in terms of people managing funds in a quantitative manner. So that's a really big opportunity. This has not gone unnoticed. There are a lot of accelerators and investors in the PropTech space, some that you might look at, Collier's Techstars out in Canada, over in Asia, JLL Proper Asia operates out of Singapore, and then there's Urban Lab in China, and the RealTechX in Australia, and a number of other accelerators as well. One of the first sort of opportunities is, if we think about finance, it's relatively easy to get data for the public markets. You can just go to Bloomberg or Reuters or some equivalent, and you can just get all the data you want. That isn't the case in real estate, and there is a big business in providing data. Some of the key players, some of the incumbents would be CoStar, RCA, CoreLogic, but some of the startups to watch would be like Cherry. So Cherry promises to organize data the same way that high-frequency traders would use it, and that's a good business, and they pass through other people's data as well. Closer to home, we can see My Property Data in Malaysia, offering some of these transaction data for Malaysia, and was recently acquired by another group. Now, another opportunity space that is in sort of fintech for real estate is fractional investing or crowdfunding, where people can buy and get exposure into real estate. And not, it could even be development projects, it could be commercial real estate, and it could be deal by deal. You could choose which deal to get into for a very small amount, sometimes as small as 50 euros if we look at the case of, say, houses in Spain. Now, closer to home, we have some companies, Shareable Asset, Mintrust, InvestX, operating out of Southeast Asia. And then you have also Fina operating out of Vietnam, which you guys can look into. And in the UK, there's British Pearl, and a couple of companies in the US, such as Realty Mogul or CrowdStreet. Some of these companies also rely on sort of, cryptocurrencies to divide these assets and tokenize them. And that's another area of innovation as well. Now, in real estate, it's not always clear what an asset should sell for. They don't trade every day, and every property can be different. So an important piece of technology is automated valuation, using statistical methods to determine what a fair market value for a property should be. Some of the players in Singapore would be UrbanZoom, SRX, and AgeProp. In Hong Kong, there's CHFT advisory. So the idea is, given a property characteristic or address, what should the fair market value be? Now, if we look at the US, there are a couple of different players. House Canary is one. And if we look at Zillow, which is the big listing website, they provide an estimate of the price called a Zestimate. This also connects to another business line, which is instant buyers. So Zillow also enables a home owner to get instant liquidity by filling in their home details, getting a price quote, and immediately being able to sell at that price. A couple of other players are in this space. So Open Door, again, same thing. You can immediately sell your house, and they have to have a statistical valuation model to determine a fair price for this. And this is also spreading, and there's some business models where it's not directly that you can sell your house, but that they will loan you the money for your next purchase and so on. And that is again based on automated valuation. Some of the players in this space are Knock, and Properly, and so on. Another area that is of interest is sort of rent to own or financing for homes. So a couple of players, including Divi, will allow you to essentially create some kind of financing for your home purchase by essentially paying rent or similar and eventually owning the house. Zero Down and Fly Homes have other kinds of financing scheme where you sort of pick the home that you want, and they will create some financing based on valuation and certain loans to enable you to get into that house, and in some cases even change your mind sort of 2 years into sort of living in that house. Payments is another space that could be of interest. So if we look, for example, in Singapore, there's a company called Rent Hero, and what you can do is essentially make your rental payments using a credit card and earn miles. And so that is, a really good consumer experience and an example of, sort of fintech in the payment space. Now, there are also other players which provide the ability to make payments for not just rent, but other things, but also include rent, such as CardUp and others. Then we can think about quantitative real estate. So as mentioned, the goal being to replicate the same way that we have in finance, right? Hedge funds, right? Some of which are using really quantitatively driven methods to invest. Skyline.ai is one of these companies, which looks at a wide range of data to essentially pick investments that could outperform. And if you look up the news, they've done some deals in the US based on these methodologies. Squire out in the UK was doing this for student housing. And then there are also sort of tech-enabled brokerages such as Entera in the US and then Leeways in Japan, which also use some of these analysis techniques to help pick the correct investments, essentially. PropertyQuants is also working towards this in the future. Megalytics provides some analytics around tenants. So if you think about from an investment viewpoint, how do I sort of manage my sort of rental properties? This can be a useful space to be in. Now, if you want to learn more about the potential for property technology, data science in real estate, and some of these other techniques, PropertyQuants does run a seminar. So you can come to our webpage, propertyquants.com/seminar, to find out about the latest seminar. We run these every now and then. And we also offer training in specifically how you can apply data science into real estate. This is an 11-week master's level course, and you can find out more at propertyquants.com/training. So I hope this has been informative. If you'd like to find out more and connect with me, please do send me an email at nelson@propertyquants.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.